Well, we're here with Alex from Pouhere, Taonga, Heritage New Zealand, at Te Waimate mission on the veranda of the mission house itself. What remains of this settlement, Alex? This beautiful house.
Yeah, so we're here at Te Waimate mission. Waimate was a model English village and mission station established here in 1830. This house is the only one that remains of that original settlement, but if you imagine a little town out here in the countryside, it had the church, the schoolhouses, a hospital, homes for all the families that lived here. You also have all these workshops that go with this place, builders and carpenters and millwrights and blacksmiths. You have then around us all the farmland that they'd purchased for the mission to be able to establish this sort of traditional English farm.
And so the house here was kind of like the main residence?
This is the main residence for one of the mission families that helped build the mission station originally, but it's been host to a whole number of families across the time. It's built in the early 1830s, but it's lived in until the 1950s.
Yeah, and you have a look around. It's a great. It's almost like a museum, I suppose you could say.
It is a museum today. Today we look after it as a place that contains some of the items from the sort of original mission station, and it looks a bit how you would have lived in it in the 1830s.
So you say that they set up a model English farm here. So I guess you could say, Alex, that the missionaries brought with them their heritage, their farming heritage, the practices and even the goods, and planted it right here.
Yeah, so if you look all around us, it's sort of Waimate, Taimai area, you'll see this is a landscape where Māori are living and have been living for a really long time. And they've been growing a lot of food here quite successfully for trading into areas like the Bay of Islands especially. The mission came out here, they saw that sort of productivity in this place, and this is how they selected Waimate as one of those places where they wanted to grow a lot of that food to help support the mission stations and feed places like this and Kirikiri mission.
And it was a real time of trial and error and experimentation with new products and a new land.
Yeah, so a lot of what Te Waimate does is import all these different crops from across the globe to try and learn how to grow them in New Zealand. So if you think about the supermarket today, if you pop down and you visit the fresh fruit and vegetable aisle, a lot of what you'll find there sort of today is what they're growing here in the 1830s. It's a little bit of trial and error, see what will grow, see what doesn't work. If you think of Aotearoa on a map, we're down here in Polynesia. A lot of what they're importing is coming from places like Australia, where the climates can be really hot and dry, or England, where it can be a lot cooler, and that impacts how things might grow or how much food they might produce once they're ready. Yeah, so there's lots of foods that they're growing here, but one of the foods they're growing early on is wheat, and we'll sort of have a look at how you go from getting a wheat grain from a little seed that arrives on a boat right through to a plant that you can harvest and turn into flour and make into bread.
Cool. Oh, well, let's go and check it out.
Cool.
So we're surrounded by this incredible remnant of the mill that the missionaries built, this artefact, if you will, that they constructed in order to mill wheat to turn it into flour.
Yeah, so there's a whole big process that goes into getting wheat grains into being flour. So wheat grains, they start off as just a little seed. What they grow into is a plant like this, and when you harvest that, you process it in the flour mill like you would have here at Waimate. They build a flour mill here at Waimate. It's run, driven by a stream that powers the mill, and it helps it grind these wheat grains into the flour we harvest today. But if you think about like how much work it is to get that, you've got to grow the food, grow the wheat, harvest it, and you've also got to build all those components, the tools to grow it, to harvest it, and then also to process it. So one of the things that they build here at Waimate is this flour mill behind us.
It's great to connect with heritage in this way, see these artifacts, that are remaining, that are existing still, so for us to learn from and connect with and see those changes over time, and we still connect with that history because those practices are still happening today, but we've just developed them.
Yeah, so what the food you have today, that builds on the kind of work they do here at Waimate in the 1830s of importing those things and learning how to sort of grow and process them in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Hey, thanks Alex. Kia ora.
No worries, kia ora.